Okay, I'm ready.
All right, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead and start it.
All right.
Hey everyone, this is Rahkee. We're here live right now, World Ghost Radio. We were having some technical difficulty, but now we're getting things together and everything seems to be coming according to, the plan. But tonight's episode, man, I am sincerely happy to have this guest on my show, the legend of ITC himself, Steve Huff. How you doing tonight, Steve?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing
technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what happened. Like everything just seems to be like failing on me, like my computer, and then I'm gonna figure all that out later. But man, it's good to have you on the show. How you been?
Good. Yeah, happy to be on always. I mean, anytime. But yeah, no, everything's good. Just busy as always. That's about it.
All right.
But yeah, I had some technical difficulties today. Actually, I did a group session recording 2 nights ago that I do once a month, and I had it loaded into my computer to review and go over, and then I was going to finish it today, and my whole external hard drive just crashed.
Oh man!
So I lost all that. So I went to the SD card where I had the original footage. I was going to load it back in, and the SD card was corrupted, so I lost the whole entire session.
Man.
Yeah, so it's like that was crazy, but I'm just going to have to redo it this month. But yeah, it's like weird that you were having difficulties. I was having difficulties today. Last time we met, there were some difficulties.
Oh yeah, I was so upset that I had to make a half-fast ghost box out of my parts. It was bad. But for people, you're tuned in right now to RadioVegas.rocks. Everyone that's watching me on Facebook, I have to go to my personal profile. If someone could share this to Paranormal on Air for me, I would appreciate it. And if anyone has a question for Steve, go ahead and shoot the question out on Facebook, and we'll ask Steve, because Steve's going to be with me here for the next hour. So Steve, can you tell us a little bit about what got you into the paranormal and how it all started?
Yeah. I'll try to make it short. But what got me into paranormal? Basically, when I was little, I always wanted to believe in ghosts and spirits, and I had a massive interest in I guess you would call it paranormal. I didn't call it paranormal back then, but it was mostly an interest in ghosts and spirits and the afterlife. And so I would read books. What is that noise, Steven?
That is a dog in the background. And I don't have a door where I'm at to I could shut the door.
So anyway, yeah. So ever since I was a child, I had an interest. Through childhood, I've had some experiences that I tried to explain away in my teens, and then eventually, as I got older, I decided to pursue the interest, and it started with many years ago now. Going on to YouTube to debunk orbs, right? So I went on YouTube to look for videos debunking orbs, and then I saw somebody who was using what they called a spirit box. So I watched the video and didn't believe what I was hearing, so I actually went out and found a Frank's box local to me at the time. Somebody was selling, and I bought that in a PSP-7, and from the first time I used I became fascinated with this whole communication thing, and that's been my focus ever since. Yeah.
And what did you get immediate results once you got the Frank's box and the PSP-7? Did you get immediate responses, or
with the first Frank's box?
Yes. Yeah. So did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it from a guy in a parking lot. It was when I first found out about it, I didn't know what a Frank's box was, of course.
Mhm.
So, but I read that that was like the one to get, at the time. So I went to Craigslist locally and I typed in Frank's box, and believe it or not, there was one
Wow.
Craigslist locally for $250 or something like that. And so the guy's like, yeah, meet me in the parking lot of Pride Electronics in an hour and I'll have it. So I go up there, I ended up giving him like $220 for it and took it home and turned it on. And the first thing I heard was, the first message was, be careful, from a female voice.
Oh, man.
So I was intrigued. So I recorded it with my video camera. I asked a few questions, and then I heard a couple of names in real time, and then when I played it back, I heard my name. I was hooked instantly because I couldn't dispute when they were saying my name,
Right.
First and last name. So yeah, it definitely got results with it. I wish I would have kept it. I think that was early on, and I ended up I sold it, and tried different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool.
Man, that's amazing. And then I noticed that you had a hack shack for a little while, because that's what kind of inspired me, was your hack shack spirit box that you had.
Yeah, I had one of those, and then one was like a Sangean model that was popular at the time. And yeah, I loved using that thing because when when responses came through, they could be really clear, and again, kind of undisputable. You couldn't deny when you get an answer to your question scanning a radio. I mean, you can't deny that. So yeah, those were cool too. I went through the Sangeans and the Hack Shacks, and I had what were they called? Ron Ricketts built them. It's called a mini box, I believe. I had a mini box. I had quite a few boxes that I would buy and sell, experiment with, and I mean, they all work. That's the thing, because they all use the basic principle, of giving spirits an audio source. So that's really what it's all about. But yeah, there's a lot of really amazing ghost boxes that have been made over the years.
So it brings me to my next question: is the portal. What inspired you to build the portal? Where did you get the idea from? Like, how did this all get put together?
Yeah, that was another interesting thing that happened. I think I was using, at the time, I had like a PSP7 and the Shat stuff, and I also was using the earlier apps from Anthony Sanchez, Ghost Hunter apps, and something like the GB1 or whatever. But every time I would use the radios, like the PSP7, I would hate the static, like the noise and all of that. But I remember using, I think it was it the SCD1? I know it was before the SCD1. There was a message that came through, and the message was cut the noise, when I asked, how can we make this easier or better? And it was cut the noise. So I instantly was like, well, let's find a way to get rid of the static, not bring static in. And so that kind of, from that came the SCD1 app that I collaborated on with Anthony. And that was a way to, I was like, well, let's scan internet radio instead of FM AM radio, and that'll cut the noise. And then also I tried the noise reduction pedals for a guitar effect into a guitar amp I had at the time, because I used to play guitar. So I ran the PSP7 through this noise reduction, and it reduced the noise dramatically, and the replies were clearer. So that's what kind of sparked the portal. It started with the noise reduction, and then I tested out reverb and found that when using certain reverb frequencies, the responses could be longer, they could be more direct. And, as simple as that first portal was, it was basically the noise reduction and a reverb, but I tested many reverbs, and some worked better than others. So it was a reverb and a noise reduction and an amp. And for me anyway, at the time, I would use apps and radio with it, and it was dramatically improving the communication. So it just started from there, and then over the years, I would continually ask in sessions, what else can I do, to help you speak easier or to make this better? And they would mention things as energy and power. They would mention, what else did they mention? They mentioned a more powerful amp too, which I've experimented with. And like any little thing like the energy. So then I came up with different ways for there to be energy around the amp. And every time I did something, it seemed to improve it. And they were asking for gold. So I added gold to the box inside and out, and it cost a fortune. And that's when I had the clearest, most direct communication I've had up until, at that time. And it also introduced some issues, but, so yeah, it just kind of felt from there. So I always say the spirit helped me do it.
Man, I remember when I first saw I went down when I met Keith and Carissa. I went down to NorCal, and they ended up taking me to Daydreams and Nightmares, and it was my first time in the shop. And my first time hearing the Portal, I was like, man, this thing it's amazing. So I was like, man, it's crazy, because I've been using the white noise, PSB7s, Hack Shacks. But when you're getting like clear, direct responses, it's
but what's cool about all that is and even you are part of this, is it kind of spawned a lot of people to create their own versions of it, right? And some of them are better than the original Portal. I mean, so people are using the basic ideas of it and creating their own devices and boxes. And, a lot of them are amazing. And you did, you made a couple of your rock box or whatever.
Yeah, the cool, Banshee. Right? Well, what happened was, Jason ended up making one out of his phone with the guitar. Like, you could do the guitar to your phone, and so he had an iPhone, so I ended up doing it for Android, and it worked pretty decent. He called it the poor man's Portal. Because it only cost you like a few dollars just to get the part, but it didn't but when I compared it, when I took it up north, the regular Portal, because it's the amplifier and everything that comes with it, it's a way better sound, way different effect, and it is definitely an amazing piece of gear. And that's why I'm saying the legend of ITC, because you've inspired like so many people, and because your piece of gear, the Portal has just made a huge impact, in the ITC world. So that is definitely a good thing.
As simple as that first one was, I do think it's made an impact, because you see so many people either using the Portal or one they made, or an alternate version, and they're getting results with it. And if anything, it's helped inspire people to do more of this, which back, 10 years ago, there weren't that many people publicly doing this kind of thing. And I noticed back then, a lot of the Facebook groups, there was like a handful. They used to kind of be private and kept hidden, and now, like ITC, it's just kind of out in the open, and so many people have embraced it since I started. It's growing, it's huge, and it's cool. I mean, raising awareness, in my opinion, is important. The more people that understand that, our souls do go on, we don't die. I mean, we physically die, our body, but I 100% believe we are eternal, and, people can see this stuff and see for themselves. And, after all these years, I still find it incredible and fascinating, and I just never get bored with it. So, I don't know.
Cool. I'm just checking the chat room. If anyone has any questions for Steve Huff, you can go ahead and send me a message. Also, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me over on Facebook? Just let me know. Shoot me a yes or no if hear me, or if you could hear Steve. I saw a couple of people say they couldn't really hear Steve, but we've been having a little bit of audio technical difficulty here in the studio, so I apologize. When I put out the final cut, you guys will be able to hear the, the full version. One of the questions that was asked, I got someone here from Maryland. She asked, has anything ever attached to your equipment? And did you have it cleared?
To my equipment?
I guess the portal or any of your ITC
yeah, sure.
gear.
Sure. I've had, I can't say for sure. I want to say no, but I don't want to say no, because I've had messages where they will say, I'm on the box, or there's one on the box, right? Mm-hmm. Whoever's talking, and I have this theory that some will not believe or buy into, but I believe it 1000%, because spirits have validated it over and over and over again. Now, when you're using a device, say a portal or whatever, a radio, whatever, when spirits are answering you direct and you're getting those direct answers, that spirit, according to the spirit, goes inside of us to talk. They're using our energy, our mind, our brain. They even said they use our brain when they speak. And that's answers the question of why, for example, those who speak English only get English replies, right?
Right.
It's because spirits speak whatever language we speak. But whoever's talking, I feel, is attached to us. And then they will sometimes comment on other spirits. And I've had them say there's one in the box or there's one on the box. Now, whether or not that spirit stays with the box, I don't know. But, it's a possibility, I think. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible if a spirit wanted to hang around a piece of equipment like that. I don't know. It's possible, but I don't have any.
No, I agree with that answer, because I know I feel it. You feel a certain way when there's like a energy around you or spirits around you. Like, I know my energy, like when I use ITC equipment, my body just changes, and I know there's something around me. So I believe that, what you say is true. And when I stopped doing ITC for a while, I noticed that it went away. I feel that there wasn't as much as a Verizon commercial audience, than there was before. Yeah, right. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
You can take time off, I found, and it kind of does start to go away. And then, if I just take 2 weeks off of doing any sessions and I come back, I'll feel like, oh, my connection's not as strong as it was, or something's off because I'm not getting the replies I'm used to. But then, by the next day or next try, it's back full force. So, I think maybe it's what we focus on. I'm a big believer in what we focus on and what we dream, what we desire, we can kind of sort of manifest in our life and create our own reality in a way, to some extent. So it might have something to do with that, because if I take time off, I'm thinking of other things I'm doing, other work I'm doing, and the whole, I'm not feeling spirit at that time. I'm not feeling the urge to do a session, but then right when I get back into it, I was going to ask you that question, actually. Do you notice that when you do, say, sessions on a regular basis, that it becomes a thing that you feel drawn to do? Like, ooh, I want to do a session, or I need to do a session. Do you ever feel drawn to do them?
I do. Like, I feel at certain times that I feel there's something trying to communicate with me, and I just have to turn on the box to see what that is. Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yes, I think they do kind of pull us to it sometimes when there's a spirit that really wants to speak, and when we're sensitive to those energies, as you obviously are, then you can kind of tell. And then when you turn on the device at that time, it's usually about to get some pretty good stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I got a question. Can you help the dead move on? What's your theory on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what was that.
Can you help the dead move on? I guess can you help spirits to the light?
I believe 100% we can, and it sounds crazy and it sounds, you know, unbelievable. Like, ooh, I can help this spirit cross over. It just doesn't sound like a real thing. It sounds like, you know, something somebody would make up and brag about and you know, whatever. But it's in my experience and the evidence I have over the years, I strongly believe 100%. At least this is what they're validating. I've had them ask for the light on a constant basis, ask for help, ask for the light. And then over the years, I've tried different techniques to visualize the light or hone in on the light. And, you know, I've become much more spiritual of a person over the last 2 years alone. But now when I visualize it, they'll say, oh, you know, they'll validate that they see it or that they're in it. Or they'll talk of going to heaven now. So, I mean, there's audible, clear validations of it. And it's almost like as soon as I start visualizing it, I can feel the energy. It gets really strong, and then they start talking about it. And I've had many say, you know, we're leaving now, thank you. And they go, and I never hear from that spirit again. So, I mean, I want to believe it. It seems like it's working. And as unbelievable as it sounds, you know, when somebody says, well, I don't believe that, I said, well, do you believe that these spirits are talking? And they'll be like, yeah, I hear them. So if that's happening, anything is possible. If the spirit is talking to us directly, I mean, I believe anything is possible, you know, but yeah, I do believe that's possible 100%.
We're here right now with Steve Huff. If you guys have questions, be sure to shoot them out on Facebook. What's your scariest experience as far as you know, any investigations or anything happen? Like, has anything like really extremely like freaked you out?
Oh, scary stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
A few times actually, not in a while though, because again, I think that I'm a big believer again in creating your own reality, and I've learned ways to avoid these things happening, and it's not even an issue at all anymore. But, you know, earlier on, I had experiences. The first bad one, I think, was in Virginia City, which you guys recently.
Irony behind that statement already.
Yeah, and you had a bad experience there.
Oh man, it was horrible.
Yeah, I was attacked while working with others in a building in Virginia City while running a geobox. I vomited everything, and they were filming everything for Anthony Sanchez's.
What room are you in?
What's that?
Were you in the old Washoe Club?
We did go there, but that's not where it happened.
Where did it happen at?
This was at like a house that Anthony rented for us to stay in for a couple of days. But it was like from the 1800s, it was known to be haunted or something. So it was actually in the house. And upstairs, there was one particular part of the house in a room that anytime we would typically get nauseous. And so we tried to avoid that room, but we ended up doing a session in that room, and lo and behold, it got me. I threw up. I didn't feel right. I was feeling dizzy out of my body. My eyes changed. They documented the whole thing, but I don't know if all of it was ever shown. And the validations were coming through the box, that they were attacking me and all this and that. So that kind of freaked me out. But it wasn't until later at home.
You don't need it.
Where I was attacked while
So we can hear on
watching a comedy. Next thing you know, I'm like totally in another realm and blackness, and that's what is every my body twitching, my throat's like my throat out, and tears are coming down my eyes. And what I saw were three grotesque beings basically trying to tear my body apart and threatening to kill me. And,
oh man!
At the time, the message was, to just stop doing what I was doing, which at the time I was really focusing on that, what we were just talking about, helping spirits cross over. And, you know, and I'm not religious. I've never been religious, but at that moment, I remember saying, I don't know if I was saying it louder to myself. I was like, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me. And as I was saying this, a blackness, almost like a curtain, went from left to right from my eyes. So I saw black, and it was like opening, and I was back in my living room. And I guess like tears rolled down my throat. Debbie's freaking out. I just looked at her and I said, they're gone now. And she's like, who's gone? And it was horrific. And so at that time I stopped doing the crossover stuff. And then when I made my gold box, they were getting really clear and direct through the box, and they were saying, you know, Billy, the spirit that's been with me for years, was in my body and will become one with me or something. And then over the next few days, I started feeling like not myself, and everything was off. Debbie was off. The whole house energy was off. And we had a major issue one night, spiritually, another attack. And when I saw how it affected Debbie, I went out and took a sledgehammer to the gold wonder box I made, and then took the pieces and threw it in 3 different dumpsters around the city.
Okay.
And then that's when I quit for 6 or 7 weeks, and I was like, I was done. And then after 7 weeks, I learned a lot, did some soul searching, did more prayer, and I had a sign from God that I talked about that was pretty amazing, and I decided to get back into it, and ever since I've had no problems, and I feel it's just the way I go about it now compared to how I used to. I'm much more careful with it than I used to be.
So I'm glad you didn't lose that drive, you know, because I think that's what they wanted. They wanted to just stop you, and they wanted that, and now you just was, you know, you fought it, and you know, you kept on pushing, and you know, here we are a couple years later, and it's just so many more people that you help, so many spirits as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also I dropped all fear from my life after that. And I truly believe fear can really cause us more harm than anything. I always say the old saying, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And it's so true. So I try to not fear at all in life. And that has so helped everything in my life. It's improved my life dramatically. So, and I've not had any issues either, but, you know, these days, when I used to do my sessions, I used to get a lot of, we're going to kill you, or, you know, we're watching you, or we're going to, another term they used was, we're going to break you. They said that multiple occasions in the past.
Yeah.
And then ever since that attack and me dropping fear and getting spiritual and all this, all I get now is talk of love, talk of heaven, talk of God, the light. It's amazing. It's totally changed the whole dynamic. You know, so there is both sides. So there's people ask all the time, well, if I do this, am I going to get attacked? I mean, you might. There is a dark and there is a light. There's both sides when you do this work, without question.
Yeah, I've been there. It's not, it is not fun. I mean, it just, like the energy just changed in like a heartbeat. I was there with Keith and Carissa. We were in the red room, or I like to say the room with the red door. I think it's like number 8 over at the Washoe Club, and it doesn't feel good at all to get attacked by any type of entity. It is a horrible feeling, and it just like I guess the best way I could explain it is it just you feel it overtake you, and it's not good. So that is crazy. If anyone has any questions for Steve, we are here live. Let me see. I'm going to read through this. Says Christopher. Christopher, Please tell Steve Huff Ghost House Paranormal says hello. They say hello. And could you please ask Steve about the copper wire and crystals due to the aid the box with communication process?
So the copper wire and crystals is what they have a question about?
Yeah, they want to know how that helps with communication.
Okay, so the copper wire is basically, that's a vision I saw in my head when I first made the portal. I was like, like some sort of antenna, but the antenna is not pulling in voices or radio or anything like that. It's basically, the theory is that copper wire was sort of wired into the system, and it sounds dangerous, but it's really not. And you were to hold on to it, maybe our energy could transfer, because they would always ask for energy and power, and even human energy they would mention. So I'm like, if we can transfer our energy by holding this wire and injecting that into the whole system, maybe it will help spirits, speak easier or more direct. And the crystals, I've experimented with different crystals, and I'm a believer in energy of all sorts, and I believe certain crystals, if not all crystals, put out a little bit of energy of certain kinds. So I basically use quartz, and I handpick those locally by feel, basically what feels right. And so I'll put a nice quartz crystal on, and then I also like to use organite, which is said to do many things, but it's supposedly, I put it on the portal because it's supposed to keep negative energies away. So I use organite as well. And then I also, sometimes I will, in some portals, I use magnets. I devise a little magnetic kind of energy thing that goes inside the box. And it's, the jury's still out on whether that massively makes an improvement or not. I'm not sure. But the portal I make today is more back to basics. It has the copper antenna, it has the quartz crystal, and all the reverse mode and noise reduction and reverb, and it works great. So the one I'm making now, it costs a lot less to make, and I'm really liking it. Yeah, I'll always have the crystal.
I can only imagine how much money you spent through the years. Because I know making a portal, especially in the beginning, wasn't exactly a household item. It was a little pricey.
I have my Patreon page, and I always tell people there, and everybody's like, whatever comes in every month on Patreon, I reinvest that back in. So whether that's buying a new device, making a better device, or traveling to a location, or whatever, I'm always spending money on paranormal stuff and trying things. There's a lot of things I try. Sometimes it's been a while, but there's things I try that I never talk about because they either are not very good or whatever. But yeah, I'm always buying stuff, paranormal stuff.
Do you ever hear a question that I saw? I pass it up. I'm sorry if I missed the name, but the question was, do you ever cleanse the portal?
I'm sorry, ever what?
Cleanse it, like I guess take all the bad juju. Yeah, take all the bad juju off of it, or yeah. And
I have done that. Yeah, I have done that. Yeah. I've done that.
Mm-hmm. And how? What do you use, or how you do it? Sorry. Prayers.
Yeah. One time I actually had a priest come into our house, and he blessed the house. He blessed our cars, and I had my paranormal devices, and I asked him to bless those as well. So it's even been blessed officially. Yeah.
By a priest. That's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, they said they could hear the dog. All right. Sorry about that, guy. Sorry about that. Oh, Dave Miller says hi. And his question is, when do you know the spirit has connected to your session.
When do I know a spirit is connected?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I'm another thing that took me years to realize. You know, when I first started, the first few years, I was a big, oh, it's the radio, it's the app, it's the box. That's what matters most. That's not really what matters most. They matter,
Mm-hmm.
but what matters most is us. We're the conduit. We're the number one tool that spirits use. So one thing that took me years to learn, I guess it was, you know, on the job training kind of thing, was not only feeling the energy, but distinguishing the different kinds. Like today I can distinguish, and many, you might be able to do this too, many people do it. But I think it's important if you're really serious about this work to distinguish these energies. You can distinguish between evil, between good and love. And when I sit down and do a session, there's times where I'm like, well, I'm not feeling any energy. And I don't, you know, I'm not feeling anything. And I'll turn on the forward device and I'm getting nothing, right? So then I'm like, well, that's weird. So then if I calm my mind, empty my mind, and I visualize my room I'm in as an empty room, and then I envision there's one door, and I envision myself sitting in the middle of the room with just whatever device I'm using. And I envision the door opening, and I start to envision spirits coming in. Now, I'm not trying to create these spirits, I'm just letting it flow, and I start to see them come in. And right when I do that, bam, that's when I start feeling the energy. I feel like a spirit entered my body, and they start talking through the box. So I'm a big believer in focus, visualization, connection. You have to make that connection to get like really deep communication. So yeah, it's just something you can feel and sense over time, you know, like you were talking earlier, how you felt the different energies. That's what it's all about, basically. You start to understand what energies are what. So when a spirit comes into me to speak, it's kind of a distinct energy. You were kind of describing it earlier. So that's how I know when there's a spirit connected. But I mean, I'm not saying you have to feel that, because back, you know, years ago, I didn't pay attention to most of that stuff. So you might not notice it, but if you start paying attention to what you're feeling, that's when you can really hone in on it and, you know, kind of spot it every time.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're saying as far as energy, and I could feel when there's something negative or something that I feel is going to help me on it. Like I've been there before, and it's just it's the bad ones that scare me. I'm working on that myself. I'm working on that myself. It's not easy. I mean, you got to consider the fact that, you know, I'm not going to, I don't want to give a spoiler out to any of the videos that I'm putting out, but I went to this location and I had no idea. Well, I take that back. I've been there before and I've had nothing come through. I was at this location. So
yeah.
I heard, all right, hey, Rahkee, we're going back. And I'm already, we're not going to get anything, but I'm going, you know, I'm going because they want it. Okay, I'm going. And some things happened. And I was like, never let my guard down. Never let your guard down, because I always had a wall up, you know, I always have a wall up before I go in, and just to make sure, you know, and this one time I'm like, you know, and it got me good. So that I do understand as far as the concept of energy, and it is, if words of wisdom from Steve. Careful what you do. Careful what you do in the ITC world. So let's see. Okay, I'm just reading some of the stuff here. See if any questions. They like talking amongst themselves on my show, Steve, in the chat room. So let's see. Okay, this is from Kim, World Ghost. If you do a portal box at a certain location, will it leave a portal? How do you close it? So I guess what she's asking is, like, is the spirit going to stay at that location once you close the session?
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Oh, so
the question again. Sorry.
Oh no, it's so say you're doing hold on, let me pull the phone closer. Say you're doing a session, and you know, you open up a session. Say you're like at the Patterson house. Now, once you close the session, is that spirit necessarily going to stay at that location?
Oh, okay. You know, I don't know the answer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Unless someone, you know, unless someone is there to specifically cross them over or help them to the light as they always ask for,
Mm-hmm.
I think they would probably stay there. I mean, yeah, opening and closing is like the Patterson house you brought up. Like, I found, you know, there were specific spirits there at the Patterson house.
Yeah.
So my guess is they're probably going to hang around there, you know. But I don't know for sure, you know, that's something, you know, there's one can do this work for their lifetime and still, you know, not have any answers.
Yeah.
We can get ideas and generalizations, and we can piece together evidence and envision, you know, what it could be like by the evidence, but we still really don't know because we can't physically see it. So yeah, there's a lot of things you don't know, and that's one of them. You know, I can't say, but I would guess that they would still be there.
What's your favorite app? Oh, it's DevWave. It's Steve's favorite app is DeadWave, guys. That's no, I'm just kidding. I'm over here promoting for kids. Keith, you owe me one, man. You know, like, what is
that app by me and it did great. DeadWave, my scariest, my necrophonic. So the one I use has is SCD2, but that is because for some reason, for me, it does so well with my portal. It's just like a perfect match for me. So I use SCD2. I use Afterlight Box, which can be cool as well. It's a little like the SCD2 in many ways, except it's free, so that's cool. Those are the main apps. I used to use Banshee. I haven't used that in a while.
I haven't heard of that app. What's it about?
Yeah, so I use that, and you know, radios. I still have a PSP7, and I have like a Jensen hack. I have an old manual tune. I have the Paranologies, Poltercoms, and you know those, and the new Panabox I've been using, which I'm really liking.
I was going to ask you about that. How do you like it? How do you like those Panaboxes? Like, are they?
Oh man, I love it. It's actually my favorite radio ghost box of all time that I've ever used. Because it's quiet. The responses are super clear. They can be long, and it fits in my pocket. So the only problem with the Panabox is there's now 18 that exist in the entire world. And that, you know what that's going to mean is
that you're going to give me one? No, I'm just kidding.
So they're going to be expensive, but there's the guy. No, I'm not the guy who discovered it. There's a guy named John Mallory in Canada, and he found one of these radios, and he's like, "Hey, it looks like a DR60." Mm-hmm. So he sent it off to like an engineer friend of his, and he's like, "Can you convert this to a ghost box?" And you know, he probably explained the details. And you know, after I think that one broke, so he found a few more, and they got it converted. So then he was able to buy, I think, 18 of these radios. He was able to find and secure 18 of these radios from Japan or somewhere, mm-hmm. because you can't find them in the United States. They were never released here. So he had all 18 converted, and he sent me the first 10, and he's like, "Test these out, you know, try them out, make sure they all work, and see what you think." So I was blown away by the one I was testing, so I offered to buy all 10 from him. So I bought the first 10 from mm-hmm. him, and he has the other 8. And he's probably going, I think he got one on eBay right now, and he's selling them on eBay I sold a couple friends at my cost. I put one on eBay, and I started it at $1 with no reserve, and it ended up selling for $2,025.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I was like, holy cow! So I have some here that I'm experimenting with to try to actually improve, which I've already done. Because as they are, they're a little noisy as is. You pick up a lot of interference on the AM band. So this is a simple foil hack. You put a little piece of foil on the bottom left corner of it, and it takes away all that interference, and you just hear spirit voice. So it's pretty cool. I want to open it up and try to put something inside to permanently make it like that. But yeah, no, it's a cool device. It just is a shame that it's so rare and it's going to be expensive. You know. So, but anyway, I feel blessed to be able to have a couple of them here. So
no, that's
I don't know.
That's. Yeah. I mean, if there's only 18 in the world, and you hold 10 of them, that's stock right there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I did have 10. I think I have 6 now. I sold a couple at my cost, maybe 3. And then, but I don't know. It's a cool device, though. It really is. It's like, I actually like it better than the DR60 recorder because it's clearer and it seems to work just as well. But again, it's not a magic device, right? I wouldn't tell anybody to go spend $2,000 on it because if you don't do ITC or you're new to ITC and you spend $2,000 on this radio, you might not get into the radio, until you learn, the whole ins and outs of connecting and all that kind of stuff. But if you're an experienced ITC researcher, it's like, I think it's pretty valuable to them.
Man, I can't wait to see, I can't wait. I'll eventually get one. I'll eventually get one.
Yeah. We were at the Patterson house. We had 3 DR60. Yeah, 3
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hey man, I just want to say, we're running out of time, Steve, and thank you so much, for being able to, coming on the show, and thanks for everything. Can you let them know where they could find you at, like shoot your plugs?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me anytime. But yeah, you can find me at huffparanormal.com. That's my website, and I write articles on there maybe once a week. Of course, YouTube, Huff Paranormal, and Facebook, Huff Paranormal. There you go.
Man, thanks, Steve, and everyone that showed up today live here on World Ghost Radio. Be sure to check out the final cut when it comes out, and we'll be here again next week, and I'll be shooting out the flyer for that. And be sure to be there if you dare. Take care, everybody.